Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 12, entitled Mohini Murti Bewilders Lord Shiva. Text 47. In the purport we are reading from, Srila Prabhupada begins the instruction of this narration concerning the churning of the milk ocean is clearly manifested by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is that message? That the Lord is equal to everyone. Srila Prabhupada quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayi te shuchapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. In this dramatic narration by Shukadeva Goswami, this essential truth is presented in a fascinating way. Krishna is the father, the mother, and the well-wisher of every living being. Here we find in this section of Bhagavatam where the Lord's beloved children are aggressively, violently opposed to each other. The demigods, the devas, who want to live according to the will of the Lord, for the purpose of the Lord, are utterly defeated by the asuras, who, due to the infatuation of their false egos, they want to be the controllers, they want to be the proprietors and enjoyers of everything. Due to selfishness, they care nothing about the will of God. They care nothing about the welfare of others. Their concern is for themselves. And they make allies with each other. Why? Because each one is important for the other to fulfill their own selfish ambitions. Their alliances are not based on love and trust. They're based on mutual exploitation. I need you to fulfill my ambition, and you need me, so we're together. As soon as there's a disruption in that, there's no reason. There's no reason for cooperation. The Vaishnava principle is cooperation is for a higher cause. The lower cause of cooperation for the fulfillment of selfish interests is material mentality. But cooperation in Krishna consciousness even if we have everything to lose materially. We are doing it because it pleases Krishna. Amani namana dena. Because it is our natural quality of the soul to honor and respect others and to not expect honor and respect for oneself. Srila Prabhupada in his last days, he instructed us, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate to carry on Krishna's mission. And that type of cooperation has, when it is based on that principle, it's actually eternal. It has no limitations. Because it is for the higher cause. And where that cooperation takes place, Krishna empowers. When Krishna sees that humble disposition among his devotees, he's so pleased, individually and collectively, because they've understood the essence, to put the higher principle of pleasing Krishna over our own selfish ideas. That's the basis of bhakti. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. How to please Krishna. Pleasing Krishna is more important than pleasing my own mind and my own senses and my own ego. It's very simple. That's what bhakti is. But it's very complicated because the mind and the senses and the ego are so powerful. And because we have been habituated since time immemorial to live according to the dictations of our lower nature, so when Krishna wants his devotees to cooperate, that's his will. But in the path of bhakti, Krishna will really test that cooperation. Without the test, it could just be, even in the name of Krishna and even in the name of devotional service, it could really be just for our own selfish, egoistic purpose. Yes? Anyone can hide behind the cloak that I'm doing it for Krishna. But Krishna sees both from inside out and outside in. He sees what we do. He sees why we do it. So in order to give us an actual chance of coming to the platform of pure devotional service, in order to actually give us the chance to please Krishna, Krishna has to make it difficult. Otherwise, we'll remain neophyte devotees forever. That's our tendency. You see, I'm doing it for Krishna. But internally, you're really not doing it for Krishna. You're doing it for yourself. And even demigods are oftentimes in this situation, and Krishna puts them to the test. Mixed devotional service. Yes, we want to please Krishna, but we will think that that's the priority. We will speak to others how that is the priority. But deep down inside, it's an ornament. It's an ornament that decorates our life to make ourselves appear, both to myself and to others, that I'm a holy person. But actually, deep down inside, I'm just selfish, like everyone else. Maybe because I'm a devotee, my selfishness is more pious. It might be more in the mode of goodness than the mode of passion and ignorance, but still it's selfish. So what does Krishna do? He puts situations where, in order to actually do what you're supposed to do, you really have to do it only for him. Because it will defy, it will contradict your selfish desires, your egoistic conceptions. That's Krishna's arrangement. Especially in regard to this idea of cooperation. Prabhupada said, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate. Now, everyone and anyone who has anything to do with the Hare Krishna movement will say, I love Prabhupada. You know, it's nice to feel that way, and it's very fashionable to speak that way. If Prabhupada didn't say this, and didn't say everything else he says in his books, then it would be easy to just bewilder yourself. Yes, I love Prabhupada. I don't mind crushing another person for my self-interest, but I love Prabhupada. I don't mind breaking the regulative principles or minimizing the sadhana, but I love Prabhupada. The Prabhupada said, you can show your love for me by how you cooperate. He explained so many times, you show your love for your guru by how you follow his instructions. So now it's something very real. And cooperation is tested. Because to cooperate means we are united for a higher cause. And in order to do it, there is going to be situations where in order to cooperate, it's painful to my ego. It's not what my senses want. It's very opposite to what my mind likes. When that situation comes, then we have to ask ourselves, it's becoming clear. All along, have I been doing it for me, or am I doing it for Krishna? So here we have the demigods and the asuras. They're fighting. They're enemies. They hate each other. And they're Krishna's children. They're really brothers and sisters. And Krishna's equal to everyone. He gives everyone a chance. Why did he side with the Devas if he's equal to everyone? This is a common question asked through the Vedic scriptures. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this question was asked. And there was a long story to explain the answer. Because when Srimad Bhagavatam wants to answer a question, it's done very thoroughly, and in the same time, so many other questions related to that question that are essential to understand in order to understand the answer to the original question are also presented. To understand one thing in the Bhagavatam, you have to understand so many other things as well. It's a package. So here we find the story of the demigods turning to Krishna. We are defeated. We've lost everything. We want to serve you. What should we do? And Krishna says, make truce with the asuras. Work together. Now this is very difficult. It's difficult enough for the demigods to work with each other. Not only do they have to work with each other, but now they have to work with their enemies who want to destroy them, who hate them, for a higher principle of getting nectar. And Krishna said, even the asuras will be willing to do this for nectar. They're willing to make a truce, even though they have the upper hand on you. They've devastated. They've taken everything away from you. What do they have to gain by working with you now? You're already nothing for them. You're finished. They've taken everything. You have no strength to stand before them. But for something higher, they will do it. For nectar. Because if they can get this nectar, they'll be able to enjoy in quality and the quantity of years everything they've taken from you to a much higher level. And that's what they want, ultimately. So they made the truce. But then throughout the story we find how Krishna's always there to help. It was just not possible to carry out Krishna's instruction. There was always some obstacle coming. This is a very important instruction. Even if Krishna or the Guru or the senior Vaishnavas tell us to do something, our tendency is to think, because we are doing Krishna's will, everything should be smooth and easy. Yes? Because Krishna's the controller of all controllers. Why doesn't he make it easy? I'm doing it for him. But every story of Mahabharata, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, or any other Vedic scripture, it's all about difficulties when you try to serve the Lord. So many obstacles. There's difficulties no matter what you do in this material world. But the difference is, when there's difficulties on the path of serving Krishna, again, it's a test. Are we doing it for me or are we doing it for Krishna? Anyone can say, I'm doing it for Krishna. But maybe you're doing it for your false ego. To get pride, to get prestige for what you've done. To get recognition and popularity and appreciation. Or maybe you're doing it because you just really like to do it. So why not do it for Krishna? If I didn't like to do it, I wouldn't do it for Krishna. But since I really like to do it, why not? If I'm not fully engaged in doing what I like to do for Krishna, then somebody might ask me to do something I don't like to do for Krishna. So better I just do this. Then I can tell everybody I'm too busy to do what I don't like for Krishna. So when obstacles come, that's a test. If I persevere, that means I'm doing it for Krishna. And if I take shelter of Krishna, that's the whole purpose of devotional service. Everything we do in devotional service is ultimately meant to bring us to the point of taking shelter of Krishna. So that's why obstacles in devotional service are so good, because they help to accelerate taking shelter of Krishna while we're doing it. Otherwise, if things are too easy, we do our service, which is wonderful, but we're not really taking shelter of Krishna. We could, but we usually don't. And the obstacles that came before the Devas were impossible obstacles. first to move this giant mountain to the ocean. They tried. It was a unified effort. Their hands were bleeding, their limbs were being broken, some people were being crushed to death. They couldn't. They lifted it slightly, and then it would fall on them. Then they'd lift it slightly, and it would fall on them. They weren't moving it anywhere. It was just going up and down slightly and crippling and killing them with all their might. Impossible. But then the Devas turned to God, and he appeared on Garuda and effortlessly lifted the ocean and brought it. So that was nice. But he did it in response to their taking shelter completely. But then what happens? The mountain starts to sink in the ocean. It's going deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're trying to hold it up, and they can't. Another impossible obstacle. And what are they doing? They're just trying to do what the Lord told them to do. Why is it so difficult? Because in that situation, from their heart of hearts, again, they start praying to Krishna, save us. And then Krishna appears as a big turtle, Kurma avatar. And he crawls underneath the mountain, and he supports it. And then they start churning, and it starts going back and forth, and it's not steady. So Krishna comes again and holds it on the top. And the Asuras, they wanted the front part of Vashuki, the serpent that was used for the churning rope, because they were thinking that it's not as prestigious to be in the back as in the front. Yes? It's like sometimes when there's a long line, you want to go right to the front. You don't want to be in the back, because it's, to be given first honors is very nice. So the demigods arranged, you go in the back, we'll go in the front. And they were outraged. They went on strike. So we will not participate in this unless we go in the front and you go in the back. So they got their way. But then when they started churning, Vashuki got hot, and fire was pouring out of his mouth. And it was scorching and burning the Asuras. But for the Devas, they were in the back. They were nice and cool and comfortable. Then Krishna created rain because he was called upon to cool everything off. So many things came out. There were so many temptations. And in the end, the nectar. And because the Asuras were, in fact, more powerful, they took the entire quantity of nectar for themselves. And the devotees had no access to a drop of it. Quite amazing. They worked so hard for so long. They were injured. Some of them were killed and brought back to life. They really worked hard under the direction of the Lord, and then what's the result? Apparently, everything is 1,000,000 times worse than it began. Now, the Asuras have all the nectar, and we have nothing, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to get it from them. Very good lesson. Sometimes you do something for the Lord and you work so hard, even for so many years, and then it appears it's a total failure. The opposite happens. Now, through this process, they were becoming humble, which is important, because bhakti means to be humble, because you can't take shelter without humility. It's just a show. And so they turned to the Lord again. Look, see, we're finished. The fruits of everything we've done is now stolen away from us. So the Lord appeared as Mohini Murti. Very, very beautiful, beautiful lady. Krishna, Vishnu himself, in a female form. And by glancing at the asuras, they were all convinced she loves me. And she appeared to each and every one of them exactly according to their particular taste, you may say. Yega tamam prapadyante tamistataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna appears according to how you surrender. So please understand that the dynamics of what was happening when they were looking at Mohini Murti, at least philosophically. Each asura, she was presenting herself. It's not that they were all just seeing the same thing. It's not that they were just seeing the same person. They were seeing the same person, but the same person was revealing herself to each of them uniquely according to their conditioning. So whatever they were attached to in beauty, because different people are attached to different aspects of beauty, she was manifesting that supremely to them. Yeah. Somebody likes nice nose. Somebody likes nice eyes. Somebody likes nice ears. Well, those ears and eyes and nose were really manifesting to them. And they were totally infatuated, intoxicated, and bewildered. They were all fighting over the nectar themselves. You see, they win, and then once they win, because, and Srila Prabhupada explains like this, what we were discussing, that when you make allies with others, when you cooperate, because it helps to fulfill our own selfish purpose, it's not real cooperation at all. The demigods and the asuras cooperated, but as soon as the nectar came, the asuras took everything and wouldn't give a drop to the people they cooperated with, because it wasn't for their self-interest. But then something more happened. Now all the asuras were thinking it's prestigious to get the first portion of it. So they started fighting among themselves of who was going to drink it first. There was a battle between them. They were really mad and angry and envious and proud and arrogant toward each other. They were fighting and fighting. Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? Nobody could get it. Nobody could drink it because everyone was fighting over it. Then Mohini comes. And she didn't say anything about her real plan. All she did is glance and walk. That's all she had to do. There's no need for a philosophical, political speech. And the asuras said, they're all thinking, she loves me, she'll definitely give it to me. They said, we'll give you the nectar, and you decide who gets it first. She says, why do you trust me? You don't even know who I am or where I'm coming from. I'm all alone. You don't know who I associate with. How can you put so much trust in me? And they started to laugh. Oh, you're so funny. And they gave her everything. And then right in front of them all, she walked right over to the side of the demigods and started pouring it in their mouths. And amazingly, they didn't even, none of them got up to try to stop her. That's how much she captivated them. Now, interestingly, and this is explained a little later, the demigods were not so bewildered by Mohini Murti. Because the Lord didn't want to bewilder them. She wanted to bewilder the asuras. And she gave it all to the demigods. Then she turned into Lord Vishnu, the enemy of the asuras, and left. And then they really understood that they were cheated. And then another war broke out and everything else. So Lord Shiva comes to meet Vishnu with Parvati. He says, I want to see that form. First he offered beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu, how he's the supreme, he's the controller of all controllers. He said, I want to see that form. And Vishnu smiled. He said, are you sure? Yes. So I'm not going to go into the details of this story, but he revealed the form of Mohini. Well, Vishnu disappeared, and then Lord Shiva was standing with his wife, and from behind some trees and some bushes, Mohini Murti appeared, playing with a ball. And Lord Shiva became so captivated that he ran toward her. And Mohini Murti was so expert. She ran right through the hermitages of Lord Shiva's devotees, who were all sannyasis and babajis and sadhus. And they're, doing their tapasya. And suddenly they see this lady without clothes on running through, and they're all like... And then they see their worshipable Lord running after her. And Parvati is watching this too. And then by the Lord's own potency, Lord Shiva became sober. And the beautiful thing in this story is Lord Shiva, he was proud. This is the power of my Lord. He has the power even to bewilder me. Now, Lord Shiva cannot be bewildered by the external energy, by Maya. It's impossible. Because his own wife is Maya, Durga. And he's the Lord of Durga. And there's that beautiful story when Kamadev, Cupid, tried to bewilder Lord Shiva with all of his powers and prowess and all of his different techniques. And ultimately shot an arrow of Kama at Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva looked at Cupid, and instead of melting away like anybody and everyone else in this universe, he just opened up his third eye, and fire came out, and he burned Cupid to ashes. That's Lord Shiva's tapasya. We can't imitate such a great soul. So the external Maya energy cannot in any way touch the heart of Shiva. He's above and beyond. He may be, in his guna avatar, he may be associating with the modes of nature. but he's also above. So Mohini Murti was the internal spiritual potency of the Lord. And Krishna is all attractive. Why? Because Paramdristvani Vartate. Because Krishna is unlimitedly more beautiful, more attractive, more satisfying to the heart and the soul than anything of this world. Daivi heshu gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mame pamye prapadyante mayam etaddarantite. Krishna tells us in Gita, this material nature is very difficult to overcome. It's very difficult. Maya is so strong. She is the Lord's own potency within this world. Virtually, Maya is impossible to resist. But Krishna says, but one who takes shelter of me can easily cross beyond all of Maya's temptations. Why? Because Krishna is all attractive. Satchidananda Vigraha. And his attraction is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Whatever is beautiful in this world is like a spark. It's like a reflection of a spark of Krishna's beauty. So imagine it this way. There is the sun, planet. Massive. What we see of the sun planet is nothing of what's really there. The sun planet is fantastically bigger than this world, this earth planet. And how many sun rays are in the sun planet? How many sun rays are emanating from the sun planet? A sun ray is an infinitesimal spark. If the sun itself is millions of times bigger than this earth, and a sun ray is as tiny as anything could be, what is its relation with the sun? And all the beautiful things in this whole world, all the things that enchant and entice our minds and our hearts, are just like a reflection of a single sun ray. Not the sun ray itself, but a reflection of that sun ray. And we see how much it can affect us. Imagine when our attraction returns to the entirety of the sun planet. That's the difference between the attractions of this world and the attraction of the heart toward God. Krishna is all attractive. So bhakti means not just negating our attractions and our infatuations of this world. It means doing that simultaneously through the process of reconnecting with Krishna, tasting Krishna. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the literary incarnation of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya taught this, that every syllable of the Bhagavatam is Krishna. The Murti is not just a stone representation of God. God reciprocates with our love by appearing personally, directly, as the Murti, not in the Murti, but as the Murti, the worshipable deity, and the holy name. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. All of Krishna's potency, his beauty, his splendor, everything's within the name. pure spiritual potency. But yeyatamam prapadyante. According to our consciousness, to the degree we take shelter of Krishna in these wonderful forms, we'll actually experience Krishna directly. So Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, he's the ultimate Vaishnav. Vishnu himself is in the role of a Vaishnav, is Lord Shiva. In a very special way, within this world. So Mohini Murti, we have to understand, it wasn't Maya. It was Krishna himself. It was Vishnu himself. With his all-attractive, incredible potencies. It was that sun planet, according to the analogy, fully and directly in this form. And yeyatamam prapadyante, and she manifested just according to what Shiva wanted to see. And Shiva saw it. And his wife is watching. No, nobody wants to displease their wife, because wives have potency. What to speak of Durga? She is the superintendent of the entire material existence. Yes? She's very powerful. She's all powerful. And she was watching, but she understood exactly what was happening. She was proud of her husband. Because she understood what was going on here. Shiva, ultimately, when he realized what just happened, and he realized that he totally lost control of himself, instead of being ashamed, embarrassed, he was not proud of himself, he was proud of Krishna. Just let the whole world see how powerful Krishna is. This is a striking example of spiritual pride. Yes? Because we're told that pride comes before the fall. And pride is the worst enemy for a person who's actually sincerely trying to approach God. And even people who give up material possessions, who give up sex life, who give up everything, all the enjoyments of this world, usually they're still trapped in this material existence because they're proud of what they've done. As long as we're proud of what we've done, we're still in Maya. And pride is so subtle and so strong. But a devotee is proud. The greatest Paramhamsas are proud, but they're proud of Krishna. They're proud with when we hear Krishna's beautiful leelas, we become filled with pride. How Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill for 7 days, and he supported it on the tip of his little finger.